Welcome back, Jake Delhomme, Jonathan Stewart. We're with the legendary, and I can say legendary because you're a legend in my mind, Greg Cosell, 30-plus years, NFL.
45.
Oh, my gosh.
45.
Well, you look like you're only in your 30s, right?
You're my guy. You're my guy.
So I tell you why I'm so excited. I listen to Greg. I've been listening to him for years, from the NFL matchup show, the X's and O's, just the film work that he does. It's not air. We're not getting hot air. We're getting true football mind stuff that I love. And so I think the big thing that I know I want to hit on is that you watch the Carolina Panthers.
Sure.
You watched all year long. The evolution of Bryce Young.
Yeah.
To be very honest, the first 2 games of the season were very rough.
Yes.
I saw flashes as a rookie calling the games, but then what we saw toward the end of the season became a different person. What did you see? What do you think? What your expertise?
You know, it's so funny because I know Bryce Young and I know his family, and I've wanted him to succeed because I met him when he was still at Alabama, and I got to know his dad. I've met his, I've been around his family. As you probably know, he's a great guy. I mean, so when I watched him coming out of Alabama, I thought to myself, okay, this kid is small, and he looks small, and he doesn't have a big gun. So the first thing I thought of was, in the NFL, he's going to need, in many ways, the way Sean Payton always used to deal with it, he's going to need the interior of the O-line to be really, really good. Because he's going to need to be able to step, even though he's not a true stepper with a big, he's going to need space in front of him.
Right.
Because you know this, that the interior of the O-line, that controls the depth of the pocket. He needs that. He needs space. And because he can't really sit on his back foot and drive the football, he needs room. And I think early on, this whole line has been, obviously they addressed the guard position. They knew that. But it was a work in progress. And, I think that he was a very uncomfortable player. You played the position. If you're not comfortable, don't you start playing really fast?
Sure, you see things.
Yeah,
You see things that are not there.
Yeah. Right. And you can see that he was playing that way, that he was just playing too fast. Because one of the things you saw at Alabama was you saw a pretty composed, comfortable player. Even when he moved, he was comfortable. In the NFL, everything looked frenetic and chaotic. And you can't play quarterback like that. So, and he doesn't have the true physical, traits and attributes to overcome that. It's not like let's say early in the career when Josh Allen was frenetic and chaotic, but he could still do some things because the guy's 6'5", 240 with a hose. There's just it's a different animal that you're dealing with. So he had a really hard time. So I think as the season progressed and he probably got more comfortable, you could just see that he was playing a little slower. And that's not necessarily an X and O point, but it really is. Yeah. He was just playing a little slower, a little more composed, probably seeing things better. I remember, I worked with Ron Jaworski for 100 years, and he would always tell me that there were snaps in a game, and you could relate to this obviously better than I, where you would just drop back and you wouldn't see anything. It was as if everything, you saw nothing. And, when that happens, you lose it.
Joe Montana said that in the Super Bowl against Cincinnati. Yeah. Right before he threw the touchdown pass to John Taylor, he said he dropped back, and he said, I got fuzzy.
Yeah.
And he said, I dirted the ball. I mean, Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so you know what it's
that's
like.
Real.
There are snaps in every game where you drop back and you just don't see it.
There's something that I don't think it gets talked about enough. And Dan Henning, our longtime coordinator we had, I thought Dan was great. I asked him at one point, hey, well, I'm not checking out of this run. There's an 8th element in the box. And I'll never forget, and I was probably too young at the time, and he kind of tapped me on the head, and he goes, hey, you need to not think a few plays a game. And I didn't understand what he meant by that, but he's right. You have so much going on. You need to have run-it runs and plays that where I don't need to worry about anything. Just go, line them up, get the ball, play.
And they're not all going to work.
Correct.
What type of play would that be for you?
Oh, just like we had stretch. Listen, we had stretch, and safety comes down strong where we want to switch to the other side. And Dan would be like, hey, that running back gets paid to make that guy miss.
Yeah.
Just play it.
Just run it.
And honestly, a lot of times we busted big plays because they didn't fit the right gap.
Sure.
Even if they had a guy, or you would run over someone.
Yeah.
I mean, so, and I'll go back to we talk about Bryce, but our run game helped him with Chuba Hubbard.
Right.
And
that had a really good season.
Did you see the evolution of Chuba coming, or was he a surprise?
It's funny you say that because I did his tape at Oklahoma State when he had the 2,000-yard season, and I thought he would be a really good NFL back. And then the next year wasn't as good. You can certainly speak to this better than I. And the next year wasn't as good. And I don't get to know kids, but there was a lot of talk about how he mailed it in. You know, he knew he was going to the, I don't get into that because, I don't know the kids. But I think he's got the traits to be what he did this year. He's a good back. He's physical inside. He's got enough that he can give you the big play. And getting back to Bryce, I think he needs a complete offense. He needs to be a ball distributor and an efficient executor of a well-schemed, multidimensional offense. And that has to be his game. Unfortunately, this has become a negative term in the minds of people, and I know Tom Brady works, listening to him do games. I don't know Tom Brady at all. But the idea that a guy is a game manager or a system player, those are not negative terms.
I think that's the greatest compliment you can give a quarterback.
I couldn't agree more.
Because you're getting in the huddle. You're breaking the huddle. You're making sure guys are going to the right spot. You're looking at the play clock. Do I need to abort this fake, or do I need to abort the motion and get set up? You're the ultimate.
Right. Maybe we should call it field general.
Right.
But,
I agree.
Peyton Manning, to me, was one of the greatest game managers at all time because all he did was watch the play clock and he put you in trouble. He made the defense get in trouble.
Yeah.
So, that's a whole nother conversation.
No, but it's what Bryce Young has to be, and he's certainly got the intelligence to do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I think we don't talk about enough is how intelligent he is and
really
how he sees the game.
I've talked to him. He really sees the game well. It's just, the thing is, and a lot of people to this day, I'm sure, believe that, he is small, and obviously that can't change.
Right.
So, there's certain things he can't do physically on an NFL field that he could do on a college field. And, Jake, I think you would really be able to speak to this really well, is quarterbacks that grew up as pure pocket quarterbacks, okay? They see it differently than guys that all their lives from the time they picked up a ball knew that they could run and make a play. So I think just innately in their DNA, they see the game different. You think that's fair?
I think the get-out-of-jail-free card they have in their back pocket and they can use.
And they've done that their whole lives.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. It's a get-out-of-jail-free. They know they have it.
Like Tom Brady grew up in the game thinking every play, I've got to get the ball to someone.
Correct.
That's the way I have to play. Yeah. So I have to be aware of everything. You just talked field general. He's got it. Not that Bryce Young shouldn't be a field general or any quarterback shouldn't be. You should still strive to be that.
Sure.
But Tom Brady on every play is thinking, I've got to get the ball to someone. And see, pocket movement is a different trait than getting out of the pocket.
That's exactly right.
Guys like Brady, Drew Brees, masters of pocket movement. They didn't necessarily run out of the pocket. They just had a feel. Ron Jaworski always used to tell me that you can't see the rush, you got to feel the rush.
Correct. You cannot see it. You have to feel it. That's exactly right. That's why interior pressure, and you hit it on the head, getting D-Lou and Robert Hunt up front.
Right.
That was massive for us to be able to get that.
Right.
Listen, I can't thank you enough. Your X's and O's.
We'll keep talking,
I love it. I just think the work you put in, I'm a huge fan of yours and follow. But, we appreciate your expertise
Jake,
on the Panthers.
Jonathan, man, loved it.
Pleasure,
Loved being with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.